How everybody doing this afternoon? Beautiful day where I'm currently at, and I hope all is well with you and your family on the day. On episode 3 of my show, we're gonna be discussing a lot of things that happened this week. And I'm gonna give my take on it, and like I say, hopefully y'all can take something from this moving forward with your own lives, or just entertain yourself for a brief second. We're gonna start off with Kyrie Irving. I think that's pretty much the biggest story of the week besides Takeoff, which was very sad. Condolences to his family and the whole QC and Migo gang. But dealing with the Kyrie situation, man, Kyrie is a very talented person. I mean, a very talented player. Um, and obviously he's a critical thinker, which is something that you have to respect in this day and age. Because most people in this day and age are what I would call brain dead. And what I mean by brain dead is they are, and I'm not talking about handicapped people. I'm talking about people who have a full functional brain, normal, blessed. God bless them with all their health and strength and in their right mind, but yet they don't use their own critical thinking skills, but they let everybody else think for them. And to get off Kyrie or something, I want to explain that situation real fast. You know, you probably never understand how brainwashed people are. And I hate to say this, but especially in my community, the black community, but worldwide, you will never understand how brainwashed people actually are until you start getting off into politics. I read books about the Holocaust and about Hitler and how he almost took over the world. And I remember when I was reading those books, it's probably been about 10 years at this point. And I would read certain books about that, and I would read books about people like Marilyn Manson who convinced people. I wasn't Jim Jones, one of those guys who um convinced people to drink cyanide, and I would read these stories, and I would say to myself, how is it that somebody can brainwash you into doing something that it's just not? How could somebody brainwash you into drinking cyanide to die? How could one man, Hitler, I'm talking about, almost take over the entire world? And then I sit back and I seen during the Trump election, well, not the Trump election, but the duration of him being in office, I seen how brainwashed people are, especially my people, because my me being black, of course, the most of the people I'm gonna be around is black because my family's black, my friends black. I got white friends too, but by me being black, majority of the people I'm gonna be around, voluntary or involuntary, gonna be black, right? And you would see, especially the men. The men, I'm talking about the men. Like it just really boils. Men are supposed to be um critical thinkers, but we know today that's not the truth. But I feel like all men should be critical thinkers. Now, women, we understand women. That's why women and children is always. Women and children is gonna be women and children. But men are always supposed to be critical thinkers, but you just not getting that today. And so I seen the brainwash how people was not doing their own research, not doing their own due diligence, but because what they heard, they was regurgitating it as if it was facts. And we know that in the black community, any black that's over 40, that's 45 and older, we know who they listen to. We know who lead their lives. That is the black preacher. If they're into politics, the Democratic Party, the fake black leaders, aka black race hustlers, like people like Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson and people in the NAACP, race hustlers, um, and the news. That's who give black. That's who black people 45 and over listens to about everything in their life. The news, the black preacher, the fake black leaders, aka black hustlers, like Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, and the black NAACP and black caucus, and if they're into politics, the Democratic Party. That's who older black people listen to. And younger black people listens to social media, black entertainers, which is athletes, rappers, actors, and if they into politics, they listen to the Democratic Party as well. And all these people that I just said was saying that Trump racist, Biden is the one for the job. Trump racist, Biden the one for the job. And when Biden chose Kamala Harris, a woman who in the primaries told him that she believed he was racist, she believed he was guilty for a sexual assault charge that he was charged for, something I don't know if it was dealing with kids or a woman. But she said all this about this man in the primaries and in the Democratic primary debate, and yet he knew when he picked her that was going to be the cherry on the Sunday for the blacks. And boy, did it work. And now they suffering for it, crying about gas prices, crying about the housing market, crying about the stock market, crying about their 401k. But y'all voted for this man out of being brainwashed. Because if they would have been doing their due diligence, they would have seen that Trump was doing stuff for black people that nobody has ever did before. He released 7,500 prisoners, 91% black on the First Step Act. He had a Second Step Act plan. He invested hundreds of $millions in the black in the black community, which is why he had the lowest unemployment rate ever for a president. Um, he gave $45 billion to HBCUs, and even put their own office in the White House so they can be dealt, so they can be respected, and everything can be taken care of them with future administration. Which don't happen. I want a side note that Biden cut that 45 billion, I think 2 or 3 billion, just to add that as a side note. And so when I seen all that, I seen how brainwashed people work, how people don't do no research for themselves. They don't have critical thinking skills. They only do what they're told. Even with the COVID vaccine, you got a person, the CDC was telling you, hey, you need this vaccine, or you're going to die. And yet 70% of them didn't have the vaccine at that point. I don't know about now, but at that point, the FDA did not want to approve that, right? And when they was forced to approve it, several of the FDA bigwigs resigned. Why? Because they didn't want blood on their hands. The vaccine was rushed. You can't rush a medication you can't rush something like that. Vaccines take at least 10 years before they're released to the public. Why? Because they have to be tried and tested with all kind of different foods, all kind of different vitamins, all kind of different other medications that people may take that might be in direct opposition of their vaccine, right? But yet, because the news told people, they didn't use their head and say, hey, why would the FDA be not really want to approve this? Why is the CDC not taking it? Why are people like Kyrie Irving and Ice Cube and all these actors who actually have critical thinking skills not want to take this to the point where they turning down tens of millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars? Why is they telling me that they won't release the safety data sheets and what's in this vaccine for 75 more years? But taking it's going to stop you from killing. And we also seen people was taking it and still getting COVID, and some even still dying. But yet, people still took it. And some people even, in my opinion, which was criminal, gave it to their children. So we know that in America, and especially in my community, we have no critical thinking skills. I wanted to get that out of the way, get that little piece of, to prove that we don't have no critical thinking skills in the black community and America, pretty much. You got a lot of white liberals, most of them liberals, who they think the same way like the blacks, right? Not many of them, but they got white liberals who think the same stupid stuff about Trump race. All these things are just not true. And if you do a little bit of research, it's, so stuff so different today Well, back in the days, our mamas and daddies, they had to go really like put their nose in the book. These days, all the information. I always tell people, we got the pride. Our grandparents and parents didn't have the pride that we have. All we gotta go. There's people on YouTube like me who do our due diligence, who do our research and produce receipts to show you what we saying is true. So all you gotta do is just sit down and listen. But they rather listen to other things. But that's another story. But I just wanted to put that out there as an excerpt of how Americans and especially my people does not have any critical thinking skills. And so when you come up on somebody like Kyrie Irving, who actually have critical thinking skills, like critical thinking skills to want to have to put the rubber to the road and like show me, I can't just believe everything you say. You got to respect somebody like that, especially somebody in his shoes. He's a very talented basketball player. He has millions of dollars. He got his life made. He could be like all the other rich slaves, like LeBron James and all these other rich slaves, and just shut up, be a good old boy, go to work, do your job, say the right thing, do the right thing, and don't never stand up for yourself. Don't never have no backbone. And that's most athletes and most celebrities. They don't have no backbone. All they care about is the money. And even though their community going in ruins, they can care less. And we know this is a fact because if it wasn't, people like that, LeBron, I really like. But I don't get caught up with these dudes. I've been got out of that, getting caught up with these guys as a person because I don't know these guys. LeBron is the best player ever played the game, and I always like and respect him for that, for what he gave to the game of basketball. But anything else that I don't deal with LeBron, and that's why I see these celebrities in the airport or wherever I might see them, man. I don't ask them for no autographs and none of that because I don't know you. I don't know who you are. All I know is the character that you portray, whether it's a basketball player, a rapper, an actor, a wrestler, whatever it is that it may be. But I don't know you as a person for me to be asking you for an autograph. I might be asking a pedophile for autograph. I might be asking a rapist for autograph. I might be asking somebody that's against God for autograph. I don't want your autograph. I like your music. I like your movies. I like you performing on the court and off field. And then we leave that at that. And that's why. But who this guy is, and they'll jump out there talking about, oh, Breonna Taylor, Jacob Blake, but they don't really care. Like I'm talking about LeBron and these fake celebrity activists who are acting they care so much about the black community, but the actually issue that's really plaguing the black community, they hush on, like black on black crime, black abortion, fatherless homes. But that's another story. It's not here. Let's get back to Kyrie. And so when you see somebody like Kyrie who got all this stuff to lose and he willing to make a stand, right? You got to respect that. You got to respect that. You got to respect that. But what I don't respect about Kyrie, and this is why Kyrie is under fire and in the trouble that he's in and losing the thing that he's losing, because anything, especially Kyrie, not talking about regular people like us, but still us too. Anytime you jump out there and stand on something, whatever it may be, whether it's a particular representative, president, politician, whatever it is, that you jump out there and you stand on business about it, make sure you have all the facts and data before you do that. Because if not, you're going to be looking stupid like Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving has some takes of certain things that I agree with and I disagree with. Taking the vaccine and him refusing to do so, I stood with him for that. Saying 9/11 isn't real, of course I don't agree with him on that. Saying the earth is flat, I don't agree with him on that. Saying all blacks are Jews, that is not true. And if you believe that all blacks, yes, some blacks are Hebrews, some blacks are Jews. That is true. Because if you know about the lost tribes of Israel, we were spread it all over. And when Africa slips, when the slave ships came over to America, yes, some of those people were Hebrew, but not all, right? Not all. Um, and so those things I don't stand with Kyrie on. But I do stand on him for making a stand and trying to enlighten people. But this is the issue I have with Kyrie. In that DVD that he posted, Hebrews to Negroes, I never watched it and I'm not interested in watching it. But it came to surface that, oh, it's things in that DVD that says that's not true, like the Holocaust didn't happen. You got Jews that's living today who have descendants of people who actually was a part of that Holocaust. That's almost like saying slavery didn't. That's almost like a race or person. Or it's almost like a white person or any color person coming out and saying slavery didn't happen. Well, we know it did, right? So if you put something up on your platform when you know you got a huge following, you're not no average Joe, Kyrie. You got a huge following of people. You have to you what you should have did and now I what should I this is something that I don't believe. He said that he didn't I don't know if he said that or people saying that he didn't watch the whole thing. He should have watched the whole thing there platform because if you don't know all the detail like I just don't stand behind that. This is the same thing the same issue I have with quote unquote black Christians or any Christian, not even whether they black or white, blue, support the Democratic Party and they'll say, oh well, I'm supporting the Democratic Party because they're the lesser of two evils. Well, if you're a Christian and you support the Democratic Party, you support the party who pro LGBTQ, pro abortion, which is two things among many that they stand for that's against God. So there's no such thing as you support something, right, and it's not you. Same thing with social media, especially in the younger generation. Whatever you share on your social media, that's what you stand with. Show me your social media and I'll show you who you are. If I meet a female, I don't even ask females for their number no more. If I meet a female, I ask them, what's your social media? Because if I go on your social media, and I don't care how far I go back, and all on your page is mess, slangs, um, twerk videos, and all this, I don't care if I met you in the church house. I know who you put out there every day on your social media comments, who you are. You can go on either one of my social media accounts, whether it's my Facebook, TikTok, or my Instagram. And what you're going to notice is only thing I post is things about politics or things that's encouraging, biblical encouragement, spiritual encouragement. And every now and then, every blue moon, once or twice a year, I might post a picture. But for the most part, I'm posting stuff about education, politics, religion, or encouragement. That's what I post about, and that's who I am. That's what I stand for. Social issues, religious issues, um, and political issues. That's what I stand for. That's what I'm about. And so, show me your social media. I'll show you you are. So, Kyrie, you can't say, "Oh, you posting on your page where you got millions and millions, tens of millions of followers who gonna see that and who stand with you and who represent you and who stand for what you believe in and who support you. You're not gonna say that, oh, I don't stand with everything that's in that film. Yes, you do, Kyrie. Yes, you do. And if you didn't know everything that's stood in, you had no business posting on your huge platform, right? And so I don't support the suspension. I don't think they should have did all that. The man donated $500,000 to the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League. Um, he just didn't want to apologize, and I think he maybe, and I agree that maybe he should apologize. I don't feel like he was that hurtful and that harmful, but it is people that still are living who are descendants of the Holocaust. For that book to say that the Holocaust never existed, maybe that can trigger them. I don't know, but maybe I understand the apology. But he donated $500,000 to the cause, so I don't think he should have been suspended. I don't think Nike should have dropped. That's a bit. I think that's a bit. I think I forgot the word I'm looking for, but that's real. That's too much, right? But that's just my opinion. But what I will tell Kyrie and people like Kyrie, man, that's even me. Like before I started really when I first started supporting Trump and supporting certain teams, I did my due diligence on them first. And when I say Trump, I'm talking about his presidency. I don't know Trump as a person. I know now. If I say, for instance, he had did something evil, like mess with a child, or did. I'm not saying he's perfect, but I deal with people and their character. That's what I deal with people and who they represent. And so for Kyrie to do that without having all the information, he was wrong. But I feel like once he gave that donation and once he, acknowledged that he didn't agree with everything, he didn't really owe him an apology. But I mean, the apology was good if he would have did it, which he ended up doing the next day. But I mean, the damage had been done already because when the mic was in his face, you could see when he was doing a press conference, he really was embarrassed to do it. He's trying to put his hat over his face, but he really loved basketball. I believe in my heart, and I do believe he, of course, like we all like money, and so, but I do believe that he want to stand for something to it. Having somebody in this generation, especially like I say, his age with his finances and his life, standing for something, or sometimes can sometimes mean losing a lot. And so this is why I respect people like him and Kanye because they didn't have to do that. They could have just played the game. Same reason why I respect Trump. Trump could have just played the game of politics, but he didn't want to. You know what I'm saying? Matter of fact, speaking of Trump, he didn't even have to come in politics. He already was made. But that's just my take on the Kyrie situation, man. Kyrie, um, probably won't hear this, but for the people who support Kyrie and um, for the people who is standing with Kyrie, that's fine. But you know, when you you got this is the next thing you got to understand about that situation. Kyrie is someone who is not just representing Kyrie. He's not. Kyrie does not just he represents Kyrie, of course, because that's who he is. But Kyrie represents an organization, the NBA, and they will protect themselves against all this foolishness. And Kyrie also represents the Brooklyn Nets, not to mention Nike and whoever else he have endorsement deals with. And so when he say this is the next thing why he gotta watch what he say versus a regular person like me or you. When you have that big of a platform and you're endorsed by all these huge mega companies and organizations, you have to watch what you say because if you say something that's and this is the part that Kyrie haven't pretty much picked up on yet, apparently. Because if you want to quit, say, look, I'm done with all the endorsements and post the stuff you post on your social media or whatever you want to do go for it. But when you represent all these organizations, you just can't do that, Kyrie. You can't because they don't agree with how you feel about whatever. And when you do it, people that support you will do it, and people that's against that gonna come against their brand. Hey, you support this guy? Hey, this, that, and the third. And so, not to mention, it brings and then going back to another subject, it brings distractions in the locker room. Now here it is, you got guys who coming up there on the podium, people like KD who just want to talk basketball, but you got these reporters asking about all this other stuff, and it's just a complete distraction. These anti-Semitic people showing up at the game, it's just too much distraction that you bring in, too much distraction and bad PR, bad press that you bring into the organization that you represent. This is why Kevin Durant wanted a trade. This is why we hearing. I haven't had this confirmed yet, but we hearing that he's also want to be traded again. He's requesting the trade again because Kevin Durant is not one of those type of people. Kevin Durant is one of those type of guys who he just want to play basketball. You know what I'm saying? Like all this extra stuff. This is why he said he wouldn't want to play with LeBron. This is why he left Westbrook. And it wasn't Westbrook's fault, and it wasn't LeBron's fault, but these guys are circuses. It's circuses around these guys, and that's not what KD about. KD about winning and playing basketball. That's all he about, right? And so, you know, and then to get off Kyrie and to move forward, I see a lot of people saying and making it stupid. I just don't get some people and how they think. And this is why I always question, you know what I'm saying, some people, because a lot of people who I like to listen to, I'm not gonna say their name, but there's a lot of people who I like to listen to and got a lot of respect for their knowledge and wisdom. I don't know them as a person, but the thing that they put out there, I have a lot of respect for it. And now they saying the same thing that I'm about to say, and I don't get it. Why isn't Amazon being punished like Kyrie? Well, first of all, let's get this out understood. Amazon doesn't represent anyone but Amazon. Amazon does not represent the organization. Amazon does not represent the team. Amazon is not don't nobody pay Amazon bills. Nobody endorses Amazon. Amazon is the big dog, number one. Number two, Amazon is a wholesale third party platform where you can go on Amazon and sell whatever you want to sell. I'm sure it's on eBay and other platforms as well that you can sell this on. That's what these platforms are for. They don't have time to go screening through everything. They have stuff on there supporting white supremacy and all kind of stuff. And this is not this has nothing to do with Amazon or Jeff Bezos. This is a platform that actually is a blessing because you can go on there and sell and peddle whatever you want to sell. If you don't have everybody don't have the connection to go in the store and put their book or DVD in the store. Well, Amazon came up with that platform for people to sell. So you can't use that. That's not even a valid argument. That doesn't even make sense. But that's people who side with Kyrie and not using their critical thinking skills to say, hey, this doesn't make sense what I'm saying. You can't compare um, Jeff Bezos to Kyrie Irving, right? Kyrie Irving is an individual who represents brands and organizations. Amazon doesn't. Amazon has nothing to do with people. Is a procedure that you had to go through to put your stuff on Amazon. And once you go through that basic procedure, you could put your stuff on Amazon. So they can stop with the foolishness of saying, why isn't Jeff Bezos being punished like Kyrie? That doesn't make any sense. Use your critical thinking skills, sir or ma'am, who even said or thought that stupid thought, right? So we're gonna move forward to the next biggest story of this week, which we have new details today, and that is Takeoff. You know that, for me, I don't really get caught up in these rapper deaths, um, because it's just happening too much, and it's like nobody's learning from it. And in some situations, a lot of things got to continue to happen until people learn from it. I hate to say that; it may sound cool, but it's just what it is. These rappers is gonna eventually understand that. Listen, you're not a rock and roll star. You're not a country music star, right? These and not just because of that, but it's because of the way they carry themselves. You might go in the store and see a regular old white boy, and this might be a country singer. And if you don't know country music, you won't know it. You see these white boys like say Brad Paisley, and I'm not really a country music guy, so I don't really know. So don't quote me on it. But Brad Paisley, Darius Rucker, and Darius Rucker black by the way. But Tim McGraw and Garth Brooks and these guys, if you don't know music, if you don't know country music, you'll see these guys in Home Depot or somewhere, and you won't know you think they're a regular old cowboy or a regular old white boy because the way they carry themselves, right? Outside might have them, but they might have a nice truck, but it'll be a Ford truck, Chevy truck, not blacks. Black gotta have 200,000 in jewelry, designer clothes, foreign car, which I'm not against any of that. You want to enjoy the fruits of your labor, hey, I get it. But when you're enjoying the fruits of your labor, you got to understand that you need to be around the right people. You don't need to be around no people who even people that's in your own camp hating on you. The one that you feed because they feel like, hey, you might not be feeding them how you should. You work 20 million, but you give them 10,000 every week. They feel like you might should be giving them 100,000. So you never can feed certain people to they feeling. It's always gonna be you could have done more, and that's perfectly fine. But when you make it to these dudes' level, like Takeoff, you just shouldn't be in certain situations. I hate to say it, but you just shouldn't be in certain situations. First, they say it was over a dice game. Then they say it wasn't over a dice game. But however, whatever. You in Houston, you and Quavo in Houston, I'm guessing promoting y'all new album. You need to be at one of the nicest hotels in Houston. And if you want to do something mess with women or whatever y'all gonna do, get the women to come to y'all. Have an assistant to go get the women to come to y'all, however, whatever the situation may be. Y'all don't need to just be out there. And even though y'all was in a decent place, because 810, that place, 810 Village and Bowling in Houston downtown is a pretty you know, it's a pretty nice place. It's not no in the hood, it's downtown Houston. It's a pretty decent place. But, just being around certain people, because it doesn't matter how decent the place is, certain people are just going to be certain people. And you have to stay away from those type of people. And the whole mob ties thing, to me, that always was a joke. Because whatever you want to look at, however you want to look at it, if somebody come kick it, for example, if I tell somebody, hey man, come kick it with me in my city, wherever I'm at, and especially if you with me, nothing ain't gonna happen to you. Why? Because if your camp and my camp get into it, me as the big dog gonna shut that down before it even go. It ain't gonna be no word getting past. Because everybody know black people, and we know once weed and liquor is involved and certain words you said, we know that it can turn bad. And so, as me being a person that's in my city, um, mob ties to shut that down from the get go. When Quavo, because when the videos that we seen with Quavo talking real sporty, started hollering and turning around, and yeah, I got to the point where Quavo even said, "I said I'm gone. I ain't arguing with nobody." The big dog, the so-called big dog, J. Prince Jr. should have stepped in and said, "Whoa, whoa, 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 not, no, 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 no. That's not what we doing." They the guests. I don't know what the disagreement about, but somebody need to do something. But we not having that. Ain't even gonna be no fish fight, need no gunplay, right? But apparently, J. Prince Jr. ain't who he think he is, like his father, and somebody lost their life on his watch, which is very sad. Because Takeoff, like I say, I don't really get caught up in these rap deaths. But Takeoff was one person that I actually liked. I just liked his whole demeanor. I liked everything about him. In my opinion, he was the best rapper in Migos. Um, However, I feel like Offset had the best solo career. I feel like Offset the better one solo. But I'm saying as a career, as a collective, they all was very intricate in the Migos. Quavo got his own sound, Offset got his own sound, but I felt like Takeoff was the sound that he was the better rapper of the group, right? And to see him lose his life so sensibly, and just to know his type of person he was, or not know him, I don't know him, but just to hear and just to see his demeanor. People like him. Everybody know, when everybody you see in life is somebody like. Takeoff look like the guy, and I know people who do know him, and they say Takeoff was the one who he would be in the studio and you know get his Taco Bill, smoke his blunts, and he want to rap. That's his thing. He wasn't really caught up in, hey man, we in the city, man. Let's go get. He was the chill one, man. He followed Quavo and Offset lead. You know what I'm saying? And to see him lose his life senselessly and so vile, shooting the neck and the head, instant death, it just was very sad. And see stuff like this that furthers the black on black crime. Just in the day that the so-called person that was a part of mob ties who shot Quavo has been killed. And this is just it. This just it this Saturday morning. And I knew something like that was going to happen, and it might not be over because you got to understand when somebody is killed, it's people who love them. See, Takeoff. Let me show you something about Takeoff. Takeoff was worth the upwards of $30 million, right? And so, right there in Takeoff's hometown, there's a lot of people that Takeoff feed. Now, it's people like his parents. I think he had a daughter and QC and people like that. They gonna still make money even though he did off his material. But it's people who he was taking care of in the street that because he's no longer here, they water not cut off, right? and this angers them. You gotta understand, this dude was helping people put food on the table on some hood street stuff, and they want answers, right? And so I knew eventually, and I don't believe it's over because, like I say, not only did the person who allegedly shot him was killed this morning or last night, I heard about it this morning. That individual had people that love him, and I'm sure he might have was taken care of because he was a part of mob ties. He wasn't no anybody, right? And so it's people that love him that are upset this morning, and these type of things can potentially cause an entire Atlanta Houston beat. You seen the rapper that Gucci Man just signed. Soon as that happened, he went on his Twitter and said, "I'm not doing no shows or nothing in Houston," and woo woo woo. And Gucci Man immediately dropped him behind that because Gucci Man is trying to extinguish any kind of beef. He been saying that he not with that no more. That beef and that smoking people and all that death. He not with none of that no more. And I'm proud of Gucci for that. And by this dude putting that out there, that could have started something. And Gucci immediately dropped him. I believe he signed him and dropped him the same day for that tweet. So shout out to Gucci for that. But the thing about it is this: these type of things can cause a hell of a domino effect because whoever killed him, somebody gonna have to pay for that, and it's just gonna keep going. And no matter what they do, they can't bring that person back. No matter what happens in the thing of Takeoff cannot come back to feed the people that he was feeding. Now we know his mother, his children, his record label, they gonna be forever rich. But you know, dudes got partners in the hood that they feed, bro. And because of this senseless act of violence, not only is these people lost their loved one and their friend, they lost the water hose. The water hose cut off now. And people are upset about that. People gotta find a way because of a stupid, senseless act of violence. And so, when you talk about these type of things, um, you have to understand that this is why black on black crime never ends. Because nobody want to be the bigger man. And I don't advocate violence. I've been a part of that lifestyle before. So I got the grounds to advocate against it because I was a part of that lifestyle before, but I'm not a part of that lifestyle no more. And it's like somebody got to be the bigger man. And I know that's hard. I know that's easier said than done because I never had to be the bigger man. But it's like people was the bigger man toward me for things that I did in the streets. And so somebody got to be the bigger man, bro, because this will go on and on to the point of Houston rappers won't feel safe in Atlanta and vice versa. Atlanta rappers won't feel safe in Houston. And as far as that mob tie stuff, man, that's just a bunch of baloney. You are artist and you go to Houston, man, you do better just standing on your own too than checking with them. But them dudes is, they fake mob tie, and you calling yourself the mob. That's not how the mob moves. That would have never happened because the mob is ran by Italian. Nothing like that would have never happened if there was Italian. So they need to just get that mob out of their name. Just call themselves Rapper Like Ties or J Prince Ties. Because J Prince the real big dog anyway. All the rest of them pee on like his son, trust fund baby and all that. Y'all need to stay in y'all lane. You know what I'm saying? But it just was a real sad situation, man. And not only is it sad, what could come behind it and what already then came behind it is sad. You know what I'm saying? The loss of life, the loss of people being able to take care of their family. Just so much loss comes behind a loss. So it's just like a double, triple loss. You know what I'm saying? And I also want to speak on. So I want to move to my next subject. I guess we'll talk about Herschel Walker and this whole quote unquote election that's taking place Tuesday. Herschel Walker is a great man of God, just an all around great person. And in the debates, he won all the debates. In my opinion, he should be elected. I don't know if he will, but I watched the Jamal Bryant, Pastor Jamal Bryant. I don't know where I think he's in Georgia somewhere, and he was in there just talking about this brother, talking bad about Herschel Walker. And I watched it, and people in there just hooping and hollering and jumping up and down. And I'm looking at it, and it just showed me how my people is. My people is some of the most hateful, evil, wicked people, bro. Once you, it's what as a black man, when you leave the Democratic plantation, you all of a sudden become hated for no reason. People will make stuff up about you. People will stop dealing with you, and people will basically cancel you. Whether you're a famous one or you just a regular one like me. And just hearing a pastor defame another black man, all because this man is a Republican. It just spoke to me a lot. It spoke to me a lot. It spoke to me a lot. And I've seen this happen, in 2020, where, Trump, whether you look at it or not, whether you want to judge him for what he did in his life, Trump is a man of God. He believed in God. He the first president ever to say the name Jesus in front of a crowd and say Jesus is boss and not him. Jesus is king. And for black people to just hate him and he was talked about in congregation after congregation, it just bothered me that men of God in churches behind a pulpit, that if you're not a Democrat, basically, you're not a man of God. And they get on the stand. I made a message about this a long time ago. I don't know if it's still up on my page, maybe. And these men will get up there, and the Bible clearly say, how can you curse somebody, right, and pray for somebody out the same mouth? You can't. Fresh water and salt water cannot come out the same spring. So you will get on the pulpit and preach and pray and do all this here, but yet in that same mouth you do defaming President Donald Trump, you defaming Herschel Walker, your own brother. Not your own brother, like legally, but your black brother, Jamal Bryant. And Jamal Bryant, man, these are the type of preachers who are that, but they not gonna be around for too much more longer. But I'm saying these are the type of preachers who are poisoning our people. Remember what I said earlier. These are the people who the older black listen to. So whatever they saying, if it's right or wrong, they got a whole bunch of people who is following them. And you know what, bro? They better get it together. We'll see in the word of God where it say, in the end time, they gonna tell God, I cast demons out in your name. I did all this in your name, and God gonna say, "Get away from me! I never knew you, who do iniquity." And that's a lot of y'all preachers today. And if the preacher gonna be threw down, you gonna be right there following it. Be careful who y'all following. If these preachers is talking about other men of God, if these preachers are talking about anybody, if these preachers are telling you to vote for a Democratic Party who pro-LGBTQ, pro-abortion, they telling you that you need to leave that church, sis or bro, ASAP. If you're a part of Jamal Bryant church, you need to leave that church ASAP. He's the same guy who's saying abortion's okay. This guy just like most preachers, and I made a message about that. They what you call the hired hand. They not real shepherds. They hired hands. And I got a message on my page about that. Go check it out. They hired hand. They not real shepherds. And this is most, not all, but most pastors today. They hired hand. All they in there for is the money and the fame and the power. They don't care about the sheep. That's why they're not gonna tell the sheep about stuff that can really save them and stuff that can really free them. And this is why you see people that go to church every Sunday, but still dealing with all the same stuff that the people of the world that don't go to church is dealing with. And I don't have to start naming those things. There's no yoke being broke because there's no anointing. A theology degree, a big church, is not what break the yoke. Only the anointing break the yoke. And a lot of these preachers don't have the anointing because why? They're not true shepherds. They wasn't called by God. They was called by quote unquote their mama. And what I mean by that is they was one of those kids that the mama that they daddy was a preacher. They either got passed down the ministry to them, or they was one of those kids. Oh, you gonna be a preacher when you grow up? God ain't say that, your mama did. And they went and got a theology degree, got the 501c, and got them a church, and got all the money from the government and all that situation there to build a church and whatever. This is why it's not a coincidence that in the hood is where the most churches are, and yet that's where the most crime taking place at. Because there's no anointing in these churches, there's no oil. They not called by God as people who put themselves in position for money, power, and wealth. They hired hand. They not true shepherds. They do not care about the sheep. All they care about is money, power, and wealth. So they're not gonna tell you about certain things that could actually free you, because why? They know most people hate truth, and that's gonna lose. They gonna lose money. They still would keep people, and they doing the truth. If they were speaking the truth, they wouldn't even have to worry about people because God would take care of. But they don't really have faith. They don't really have faith. They'll tell you all about faith, and either they don't really have faith, right? They got faith in a nice cars, nice houses, and big bank account. That's what they faith at, right? Everybody got faith when they got a big bank account. Everybody got faith when they got a good job. Everybody got faith when they got a good marriage. Everybody got faith then. Do you have faith when you lose those things? Most people don't. This is why you hear most people saying, if they had a God, this, that, and the third, and half of the time, people that say that, not half of the time, most of the time, all of the time, when people say that, they'll blame God for situations they put themselves into. Why you gonna blame God because you had multiple children out of wedlock and now it's hard and God went? Why are you gonna blame God because you done been in prison 50 times and now they didn't threw the book at you? Why are you gonna blame God because you done made bad decisions, and now your life is a mess and now it's God's fault? No. God, you did that. And you didn't seek God or go to God for his counsel and none of the things that you did, so don't blame him for the results. Right? But yeah, people like Jamal Bryant, man, and most black pastors, not all, but most, they don't care about the sheep. They hired hands. And like I said on my page, I got a message strictly on hired hands with scripture and everything. Go check that out. And for him to sit on the pulpit and just talk about Brother Herschel Walker like he did, all because Herschel Walker is a Republican, right? Same thing a lot of them was doing with Trump, which is why I lost a lot of respect for some preachers and some preachers that I do personally that I lost respect for because the way they would talk about, not only talk about Donald Trump, but the way they were standing with the evil, standing with BLM and standing with all this stuff. You know what I'm saying? Instead of being a man of God, a true shepherd, and telling, look, it's very sad that so and so lost their life. It's very sad the way they lost their life. But if they would have did what the officer said, certain things would have happened. Because you're a preacher, you're about truth, this is what you're supposed to be doing, but they didn't. Because they was caught up with what was cool. Whatever everybody else was doing, whatever the world was accepting, that's what they was on. Because why? If they make a stand, the stand means that they're gonna have a lot of opposition, and having a lot of opposition means the money gonna slow up, and that's all they care about, right? Most of these pastors, especially these entertainers, they don't have, like I said earlier when I was talking about Kyrie, they don't have no critical thinking skill. They don't have no backbone. They don't stand for nothing. This is why they fall for anything, because they don't stand for anything. They don't even stand on scripture. These pastors today, most of them, not all. And I just want to, and I'm gonna move forward on that situation. And I want to talk about Tiffany Cross and Joy Reid and Sonny Holston and Whoopi Goldberg and all of these women all of these black liberal women who taking the white man check because they are Jewish. Ain't no black man on all these CNN, MSNBC, and all these ABC and all these stations, right? And so the news was in Friday that Tiffany Cross was fired um, MSDNC, not MSNBC. I like to call it MSDNC because DNC is Democratic National Committee, which is that's who powers and funds MSNBC. So I call them MSD and excuse me, I call them MSDNC. But they fired Tiffany Cross because all Tiffany Cross does, and I never understood that. How is these people able to go on a network and talk about the same people that's paying them their check? All Tiffany Cross and Joy Reid do is talk about white people this, white people that, white people this, even when it doesn't even make sense. Like a couple of weeks ago, when Tua Tagovailoa, the Miami Dolphins, ended up getting hurt, and he got hurt bad because it was said that his doctors diagnosed him and let him go back on the field earlier. And this dummy had the nerve to come out and say that, oh, that only happened because he is black, and his white coach don't care about black bodies. Well, first of all, his coach is not white. His coach is biracial. His coach is black and white, and he's not black himself. To a thing with Lord, he's Samoan. So he just had it all wrong. But they look for any little reason to try to put black and white against each other, and they are fueling this race war that's cooking up and been cooking up for the last, I want to say, 15 years since the fallen Messiah, aka Obama, was in office, right? And so she was fired, and Joy Reid is next. And this was put out there, Jamel Hill. Let me not leave her out. But this was a smoke screen to Joy Reid. And if you keep doing what you're doing, you'll be next. Now maybe your ratings got a little bit better because you on weekdays, but if you keep it up, you will be next. Because what y'all doing is y'all fueling a race war that has been brewing, and y'all not helping people. Y'all blaming everything on the white man, the same white man who pay y'all checks. And I just don't understand how the white men who pay them would have let it go on this long. Joy Reid should have been fired. Tiffany Cross should have been fired. When Tucker Carlson comes out with a segment on his show speaking about Tiffany Cross, and not long after, he was fired. Because of course on Fox News, Tucker Carlson, Laura Ingraham, Sean Hannity, just to name a few, they actually make sense and give true facts on their show. They don't lie, they don't say this, they don't say that, they only give true facts. But let's just say, just like Sonny Hostin on The View comes out and said, oh, white women voting for the GOP, the Republican Party, like roaches voting for Reagan. Boy, just think if Judge Jeanine, because she real outspoken. Let's say Judge Jeanine, who a part of Fox News, came out and said, hey, black people vote for the Democratic Party is like rat voting for rat traps. Oh my God, they done wanted her off the show. The race hustlers, the Black Lives Matter social organization would have been haywire. They'd have been burning parts of the country down. They'd have went crazy if she would have said that. Let Tucker Carlson say that black people is the main ones who committing all the crime in the United States, which is true. Let him come out and say something like that and see what they do him. Now he might not get fired, but boy, the black gonna come for him and demand he get fired, burn the country down. But it's never that same energy on the other side. Every night, Joy Reid is talking about white people. Every weekend, Tiffany Cross talking about white people. Every day, The View, Whoopi Goldberg and Sonny Hostin is talking about white people. And nobody is saying that about it, nobody's doing that about it. And this woman, Sonny Hostin, these people are just out of touch. That's what they out of touch because they, you know why? They live in their big, nice houses, they rich lives. They out of touch with regular people is going through. And so I would love to hear her, but she won't have an explanation. It's no explanation. But I would pay $1 million to hear the explanation of why would she say something so stupid that white women vote for the Republican Party is like roaches vote for rain. Like, I mean, it's just so stupid. It's a double standard because, like I said, that Judge Janine or Laura Ingham would have said that about blacks, which would have been true. That's true. Let them would have said black people vote for the Democratic Party. It's like rats. Black people vote for the Democratic Party is like rats vote for rat trap. Let Laura Ingham or Judge Janine would have, or Laura Trump or anybody on Fox News and Friend would have said something like that. Boy, it'd have been hell and hot water. But Sonny Hostin said it, and you ain't hear nothing about it. But besides from Tucker Carlson and few a few anchors on Fox, nobody said nothing about it. No big outcry, no big thing. Because what we learn in America is reverse racism is okay. When the white people do it, oh my God, hell and high water. But when black people do it, oh, they justify it because they were slaves. They justify it because Jim Crow, and that's not right. This is why a lot of black people suffer right now because they hateful. They hateful. They got hate in their heart toward white people for stuff the white people that's currently on this world, currently on earth, didn't do. And we could talk about slavery, and I'm not going to get off into that on this video. I'll get off into that in another video. But what we got to understand is slavery was legal. White people didn't just get in no ship and say, hey, we going to Africa and get us some niggers. No, that's not what happened. I know that's what people might have taught you when you learn and do your own research. That's not what happened. The Africans sold their own people to the Arabs. And the white people was here getting ready to build America, and they needed people. They needed labor, right? And got in contact with the Arab. The Arabs sold them slaves. They didn't just come here gun blazing, taking. They didn't come to Africa gun blazing, taking people. They bought them, and they brought them to America. And yes, some of the things that they did, African American, was wrong. We know that, but that's not pretend like slavery wasn't legal. Slavery was legal, and those Caucasian men bought Americans from the Arab, went over there and got them in their own ship, brought them back to America, and helped America be built. And if you ask me, I'm glad that happened because I wouldn't want to be trapped in Africa right now. Because black people always want to say black people are the smartest people on the earth. That's not true. That is just not true. Like, let's be honest about it. That is not true. If black people were the smartest people in the world, Africa would be the America of the world because that's where the most black people at. Everybody would be trying to get to Africa, not America. Black people at all do have their strengths that's stronger than other people in certain areas. Every race got their strength where they stronger than other races. But the thing that people like to say, black people, the smartest people on earth, let's go ahead and debunk that right now. That's not the truth. Because if it was, Africa would be the America of the world. Right? And so, and that's just pretty much, I'm going to wrap it up with that. Just, giving my thoughts on all the stuff that took place this week. Wow, week, next week. Got a lot going on, man. We got the election Tuesday. Hope for everybody that hear this, or if anybody hear it, I hope y'all go vote red, remove every Democrat, go vote Republican, whoever it is in your state. Especially if you're in Atlanta, especially if you're in Pennsylvania, Florida, New York, Nevada, I believe, the battleground states. Vote red, vote Republican, vote Herschel Walker, vote Dr. Oz, just to name a few. Vote Ron DeSantis in Florida. And yeah, man. And I'm gonna wrap it up on there, man. Episode 3. We here, man. God bless y'all, and I thank y'all for taking the time to listen to me. And I'll be at y'all episode 4 sooner rather than later. God bless.